Sure. So that's the Space Museum out of the way. Did I mention we were in a space museum? Everybody else seemed to be mentioning it, alongside the fact that we'd already seen what the ultimate fate of the Doctor and his companions were. How should we behave? Should we act this way? Should we act that way? What should we do? Or perhaps we shouldn't. When 3 episodes have gone along where that's been the primary topic of conversation between our 4 main characters, it does get a little bit tiresome, it has to be said. And it's very, very frustrating to have the same conversation again and again and again. It was also very, very frustrating to have ultimately quite boring incidental characters. I feel a bit of affection for the youngsters, because they're just the kids. It was like Cliff Richard's Summer Holiday, just with guns and revolution. Everyone enjoyed saying the word revolution as well. That was quite fun. But the bosses, the Morlocks, not that they were called Morlocks, the lead guy of them was deathly dull, and then there were varying degrees of dullness down from him. So that was nice. Fundamentally, what's wrong with Space Museum is that it's dull. After the brilliant first episode, which was really good fun, it just transpired that everything was, and it's interesting because watching it episodically, what's happened was the brilliant first episode, I had patience with the second episode. I thought, okay, I'll go with this. And then the next episode came along, and there was some funky bits. The second episode had the Dalek bit with the Doctor. The third episode had Vicky breaking into the safe. Some nice little bits, but by the time we got to this final episode, and we were having the same conversations, and it dawned on you just how many times people have been captured and recaptured and captured, not captured and captured. I've been captured a bit. I'll escape. Oh no, I've been captured again. And so watching this story episodically, you came to realise how, as a story, it just was dullness on dullness. So it didn't feel like watching an episode, it just felt like a repeat of the previous thing, which is not an experience I've had before. That is fair to say. Undeniably, the dullest story I've watched so far. I was discussing with the good lady Dr. Collins whether or not this was the worst one we'd seen so far. She felt The Edge of Destruction was the worst one. I feel The Edge of Destruction was more interesting, and therefore it ticks more boxes of things I like in Doctor Who. This had its moments, but the moments were very few and far between, and the story actually became hampered by the whole, how do we escape being in the museum? How do we do? Oh, should we have done? Oh no, maybe. But perhaps he. And then if we'd have walked that way, maybe I shouldn't have walked that way. Oh, that must have been. No, it's still not decided yet. We can do something about it. It actually hampered the story. Vicky's stuff about the revolution, some real spark. That's one of the most characterful moments of any companion so far, to be perfectly frank. I think Ian and Barbara are quite stoic characters. They're our they've always intended to be our identification characters, people we can see in daily life. And when they start to act too far away from that, we actually start to feel uncomfortable about them. But Vicky, she's from the future. She's a spunky young kid. Let us go and cause revolution. So that's great. I like that. But fundamentally, this story's dull. Until the end, of course, when we got probably the best cliffhanger we've had so far in a Doctor Who story. And of course it came at the end of the story, end of episode 4. Not that this matters, we're watching Doctor Who from 1965. But what should happen after being sort of like the theme was heard in episode 1 and 2, but what should happen? Who should come out of the corner? Gonna get ya. Gonna do you sideways. So whatever happens in the next 6 episodes, we had that moment where we all went, oh, yes. So the Space Museum, dull. Oh well.